What's up, everyone? Today we have a conquest build that, to me, I want to say feels... cooldown discs, I know they got, we loved them. They got nerfs removed from the rotation. They feel like they pale in comparison compared to what we have now. This is a full build around deadly momentum that just feels gross. If you don't want to spend much time playing Conquest, this build is for you, because most fights I finish in 6-7 turns depending on the team. You don't have to do anything. The core of this build is deadly momentum, a disc that I would say I slept on pretty hard ever since the changes. I used to think this was saying armor ignore. It is actually protection ignore. This matters a lot more than I thought. Any team with counterattackers, this is essentially a huge preload. Obviously, you get the stacking offense bonuses as well. I think that there's a couple of small interactions, like if you imagine Grand Arena, right? You know you're about to finish a fight. You got a character with like a 99% protection, 98% protection, and you're thinking like, they're gonna give me the banners. It's close, and they give it to you. To me, that feels like that might be what's happening here. That little grace period counting as 100% seems to be happening because we are re-hitting characters that have definitely already gotten hit, are definitely no longer at 100%, and it is still proccing turn meter for us. It is still proccing offense stacks for us. The results are insane. So, deadly momentum is the core. Obviously, not nearly as attainable as the cooldown discs were. The cooldown disc being much a lower rarity, but it's hard to say. I think the Ruthless discs have probably still earned my respect, even without potentially having deadly momentum. I think it just changes what kind of teams can abuse them. You're definitely looking for more just like opening burst, and also as well as you need to be able to address going first. I had low stamina, lazy clones with 3% stamina gas 5 first. I'll be showing you in a little bit. 1 counterattack from him, 2 counterattacks from him, your whole team would go before Sector 5. Or not before Sector 5, but like they hit you once or twice, and then you're off to the races. You never stop taking turns. It's obscene. The one weakness to this build is, easy example, Piet. If Piet gets to go before you and does the AoE days or something like that, and you don't have an easy, fast way to get the days off, you're probably still going to get steamrolled. You can choose your matchups around that. You can switch your teams around that. It's not a big deal. And also, like Padme, she'll gain a bunch of offense with this, but you lose out on the turn meter benefit, which to me is what pushes this over cooldown disc territory. Cooldown disc would allow Grandmaster Yoda, Vader, characters like that to do some pretty fun, crazy loops, and you could, stack in extra speed, extra turn meter for buffs, stuff like that. This, instead of letting one character loop with extra turns and stuff like that, this is just pretty much infinite permanent turn meter. And the damage scaling, for whatever the interaction is happening that is causing it to go crazy like this, characters that have no business doing damage are doing obscene amounts of damage. So, we got a few gameplay clips here, a few examples. We'll take you through it. This team is just hyper capable. Let's go through the first example here. I apologize for the squished thumbnails. I just played through this fight really fast, but you can kind of see, if you look closely, this is a 3% stamina General Skywalker, and the rest of the clones are also pretty fatigued at 42%. We are going up against a Piet Empire Gideon team. I believe this is Sector 5, might be Sector 4, but definitely either or. Definitely high up in sectors. Their speed preload is crazy. Our characters are probably either missing mods or like pretty lazy modded. I don't have a crazy fast Rex here or anything, but part of why these discs go nuts is because of counterattacks. And again, Piet's actually kind of a bad matchup for us here, but we'll dive in. We'll break it down a little bit. So we get a Gideon hit first. We get 1 counterattack, and we can see immediately our turn meter shoots up pretty high, but still not quite high enough. This is kind of the nightmare fight for these discs. We can still see most of them are going before we get to take our first turn, and immediately Piet hits us with the AoE days, so our team isn't snowballing. Plus, Gas, didn't get the counterattack. We can still see already Gas with Demoralize on, with everything else, still already doing 138,000 damage. With 3% stamina, he does have all of the supporting him, and that's what makes this insane. Imagine him at 100%. Imagine any other team, right? We're going to get there in a second. This is ridiculous. And obviously with clones this low on stamina, we're getting all preloaded all over the place, and they're just way faster than us because we have no speed. But, you know, we're going to get a 5 sacrifice. It's not going to be a 3 out of 3, but this is still clearing high tier content with severely undergeared clones, right? So gas stands back up, and 265k, and as if that wasn't enough, 345k. And just for the finishing touch here, don't get it wrong, folks, that is an Echo Grenade for 720,000 damage. That is a 45-second fight with significantly understated 5-0 first in Sector 5. These discs are dumb. What else is there to say? But don't worry, we got plenty of other fights here to demonstrate. How about another example? So here we are, Geonosians in Sector 5. This is, you know, a pretty beginner-friendly team. I will say this is a Relicate Spy, but I think you will see very clearly over the course of this gameplay, you know, Spy does get some huge numbers, but every single other Geonosian on this team is half modded, by the way. Poggle's missing almost all of his mods. Sunfac is missing all of his mods. Geonosian Soldier is missing, I think, a square, so his offense is even lowered from what it could be. This is a team that should have no business being here. Let's take a look at how this fight goes. So exact same scenario as General Skywalker here. We want those counterattacks. And in this case, because they had the op summon, Piet is going to be going third here, which is why his AoE days here, it's not going to be happening for him. So immediately we have 30% overflow over for Piet. Even if he was sitting at 100%, it's just not happening for you, man. Immediately we're off to the races. We get to take our turns. First Geonosian Spy turn. Solid 900,000, barely even stacked. I think he had like probably 1 assist, and we didn't get any, you know, extra stuff on Piet, but that's just the beginning. Believe it or not, 900,000 is nothing for this loadout. So we continue a little bit. You know, just at this point, we're kind of just automatically killing whoever we point at. Just, you know, why not, right? We used like 1 of our assists, and we did a double mass assist. Poggle gets a pretty solid 181k already, doing pretty well. You know, the support to offense, or the health to offense conversion disc for support, coming online for Poggle pretty nicely. And at this point, it's just point and shoot, right? They have double revives, or they have mass revives, 1 per character. It doesn't matter. It's just drawing this fight out for another 20 seconds. And last but not least here, 2, I think, glorious hits. Spy. I know it's a little bit covered up, but folks, that is a 4,200,000 damage nuke. As if, you know, just in case, right? But as well, I think even cooler to me was seeing Poggle, like, not damage modded at all, not offense modded at all, missing almost all of his mods with a 220,000 damage basic. Poggle is not supposed to be a damage dealer. That is just these discs going insane. And this essentially just turns every squad, like, as long as you can get this train started, it just turns every squad into what's effectively an imp trooper team, right? We just take infinite turns, our offense just keeps getting higher. It is the exact dynamic of Veer's lead with Piet, but just globally scalable. It's something else, folks. And last but not least here, unfortunately, I did have a mishap where I didn't have my camera on screen, but honestly, this was dumb enough that I kind of just wanted to keep it anyway. Of course, the team I figured this disc was originally intended for, CLS, just goes crazy. That'll be the rest of the video. Enjoy. So obviously there's a bit of a degree of luck to what disc you see in Conquest. I don't necessarily think, obviously, like, Deadly Momentum isn't a reliable pickup. I think at this point, though, the fix to Deadly Momentum where we, you know, the protection ignore is really what's allowing this, right? Because it means, you know, those Geonosian Brute counterattacks were just immediately giving us Terminator. I don't know if I can say definitively that a full Ruthless build without Deadly Momentum would still feel as good. You could certainly build teams around it, you know, once we've lost the cooldown disc setup. I'm definitely a big fan of this, and especially our Ruthless offense as well just ramps your team so aggressively. But I do think to some degree, I'm a little bit concerned about how core Deadly Momentum will probably be for now with the Protection Ignore. There are plenty of teams that could also just build for Protection Ignore, or you just bring enough burst damage, you do a CLS team, right? Like, where's I know I did a few sloppy fights probably in Sector 4. Let's just, alright, it's just this one. Yeah, sure. CLS against Separatists. We're at 80% stamina, so not even that healthy either. I more than assumed this should be fine, right? And again, obviously, to some degree, the Deadly Momentum helping us with Protection Ignore helps, but as long as we're doing enough damage to blast through their protection anyway, then it all kind of doesn't really matter, right? And yeah, like the moment that we're here, we're already just doing such an obscene amount of damage. This is actually kind of an annoying position to be in because we'll probably just trigger more Grievous turns either way, but yeah. Yeah. We're just gonna hit this button. Yeah. Ooh, Sunfac staying alive. Sunfac gone. Was that a 420k to Chewy? That looked like a 420k to Chewy. Let's see how Han does. 561. Okay. Right, like, I think Deadly Momentum is probably going to be the bridge that makes it work for pretty much almost any team. Like, your team would have to be pretty slow and pretty passive to not be able to make good use of this, right? Like, even Bad Batch. Bad Batch, whatever, I don't need to show it. I don't even have the team, really. But as long as you have someone who can either go fast and do any amount of damage at all, or someone who can reflexively counterattack for if they're outspeeding you, you just steamroll. There's nothing else to say. I'll be really curious to see. I don't know if I can actually check the feats. There's a concern for me that there will be a need to unequip them at some point. And, you know, anytime we spend credits on an equipping that is theoretically just wasted resources, here. We did a 1 out of 3. I did a really sloppy fight on this before. Let's polish this one over a little bit, shall we? All right, so that just gave everyone, I want to say 50% offense. I think it was 80% offense twice. So everyone has, I think, 160% offense. You know, we don't want to be too excessive here. Oh, there's another chunk of offense. Seems like we're doing pretty well so far. I think we're pretty good players. Look at everyone has a full team meter right now, and they have none. Ooh, let's see. Chewy has a nice AoE here. I would like to get some access to this Grievous. We're gonna kill Magniguard anyway, but let's just, you know, sometimes you just deal 200k in AoE plus 20% health damage, and then Han just, you know, sometimes Han just does 300,000 damage counterattacks. Sometimes that's just gonna happen, right? Let's just, well, it didn't give me the extra hits. It didn't overkill. Yeah, it's just obscene. So, you know, obviously Conquest is pretty much over. You've probably drafted all of your discs, but for the near future, if you weren't already aware, this build is just nuts. Even if you don't like Conquest, right? If you don't want to be spending time in this mode, this gets your fights done so quickly. This is your out, right? I got nothing else to say here. The build pretty good. The damage numbers get pretty high. Give it a shot. We'll do one last one. 50% stamina. Boy, our stats should be pretty low right now, huh? It'd be a real shame if we all just got 100,000 turn meter. And the funny thing is, you... All right, video's over. Peace out.